It was terribly cold and nearly dark on the last evening of the old year, and the snow was falling fast. In the cold and the darkness, a poor little girl with bare head and bare feet roamed through the streets. In her old apron, she carried a number of matches and had a bundle of them in her hands. No one had bought anything from her the whole day, nor had anyone given her even a penny. Shivering with cold and hunger, she crept along. Poor little child, she looked the picture of misery. The snowflakes fell on her long hair, but she regarded them not. Lights were shining in every window, and there was a savory smell of roast goose, for it was New Year's Eve. In a corner, between two houses, she sank down and huddled herself together. But she could not keep out the cold, and she dared not go home, for she had sold no matches and could not take home even a penny of money to her father, who would certainly be mad at her. Besides, it was almost as cold at home as it was here, for they had only the roof to cover them, through which the wind howled, although the largest holes had been stopped up with straw and rags. Her little hands were almost frozen with the cold. Perhaps burning a match might do some good, if she could draw it out from the bundle and strike it against the wall, just to warm her fingers. She drew one out. Scratch, how it sputtered as it burnt. It gave a warm, bright light like a little candle as she held her hand over it. It really was a wonderful light. It seemed to the little girl that she was sitting by a large iron stove with polished brass feet and a brass ornament. And it seemed so beautifully warm that the child stretched out her feet as if to warm them when the flame of the match went out and the stove vanished, and she had only the remains of the half-burnt match in her hand. She lit another match, and it burst into flame, and when its light fell against the wall, it became as transparent as a veil, and she could see into the room. The table was covered with a snowy white tablecloth, on which stood a splendid dinner service. And then the match went out, and there remained nothing but the thick, damp, cold wall before her. She lit another match, and then she found herself sitting under a beautiful Christmas tree. It was larger and more beautifully decorated than the one she had seen through the glass door at the rich merchant's. Thousands of ornaments were burning up against the green branches, and colored pictures, like those she had seen in show windows, looked down upon it all. The little one stretched out her hands before them, and then the light went out. She again lit a match on the wall, and the light shone around her, and in the brightness stood her old grandmother, clear and shining, yet mild and loving in her appearance. "Grandmother," cried the little girl, "please take me with you. I know you'll go away when the match burns out, and you will leave me like the warm stove, the dinner, and the Christmas tree." And then the little girl made haste to light the whole bundle of matches, for she wished to keep her grandmother there with her. And the matches glowed with a light that was brighter than the noonday, and her grandmother had never appeared so beautiful. Her grandmother took the little girl in her arms, and they both flew upward into the brightness and joy far above the earth, where there was neither cold nor hunger nor pain. In the dawn of the morning, there lay the poor little girl with pale cheeks and a smiling mouth, leaning against the wall. She had frozen to death on the last evening of the year, and the New Year's sun rose up and shone upon her. The child sat still, holding the matches in her hand, one bundle of which was burnt. She tried to warm herself, said some. No one had imagined the beautiful thing she had seen, nor into what glory she had entered with her grandmother on New Year's Day.